And then he is saying physical shelter is we require the maintenance of life and the facilities for sense gratification. Emotional shelter is our false ego. It wants to be loved. A conditioned soul that wants to be respected. It wants to be adored. So, in brief, Maharaj is talking about these two aspects, that how a living entity always seeks shelter. So, he wants a physical shelter, he wants a place to stay, he wants some comfortable life to be in. He wants emotional shelter, he wants people to love him, he wants people whom he can love him, and he wants to be respected. So, in that way, he gets a physical shelter. And when he gets this physical shelter, emotional shelter, then he feels very happy about it. So Maharaj is saying that these two are primary aspirations, pleasure and shelter. And among them also, living entity wants to have shelter so that he can have pleasure. So pleasure comes from having a shelter. To the degree we are not experiencing real love, we may need these things. Now, to the degree a living entity does not experience spiritual shelter, to that degree a living entity will hanker for material shelter. So living entity would like to see and make sure that he has a very nice physical shelter. He would like to see and plan that how I have more emotional shelter. And same way other kinds of shelter. Why? Because he is not experiencing real love. So to the extent one's heart is empty, to the extent one is not feeling any connection with Krishna, to that extent he feels more and more need of all this. So we see in modern world also, all people are working so hard to accumulate more, to have more, and there is no end to it. No matter how much physical shelter we get, our heart is never satisfied with that shelter, because that is material in nature, that is temporary in nature, and that is why it can never satisfy the heart, it can never satisfy the soul. But being in a conditioned nature, the soul is always hankering for this physical shelter. In one lecture, Prabhupada was telling that the lust means one is not satisfied, and greed means one wants more. So then Prabhupada was giving a very nice definition. He was saying that people are not happy with what they have, still they want same thing more. So lust means no matter what you get, you'll not be satisfied. So suppose if someone gets a package of 50,000 rupees per month, he'll not be satisfied. And we ask him, okay, so what do you want for your satisfaction? More money. And suppose now he starts getting 1 lakh per month. Will he be satisfied now? No. So lust means no matter how much one gets, still he'll be unsatisfied. And greed means he wants it more and more, more and more, more and more. So that is the nature of physical shelter. That is the nature of material shelter. That no matter how much they get, it does not satisfy the living entity. And then living entity feels, let me increase it more. Maybe if I have more, then I'll be happy. Or if I have in this way, I'll be happy. If I have of this type, then I'll be happy. And like that, a living entity keeps trying for having material shelter in different ways, in different forms. But only shelter which can truly give pleasure and happiness and satisfaction to a living entity, that is his relationship with Krishna. So if one finds fulfillment within, then it does not matter whether he is praised or he is blamed. Why? Because he is experiencing God's love within. So we see those people who are devotees of the Lord, they may not have anything material, still they are happy. And those who are not devotees of the Lord, they may have everything, but still we see that they are not happy. You know, they may have best of the house, best of the wealth, best of the relationships, still they are unhappy. On the other hand, we may find a devotee who is alone, isolated, and doing his chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And you may find him very happy, blissful, satisfied. Why? Because he is connected with Krishna. Whereas those who are non-devotees, they may have everything, but they are disconnected from Krishna. Another thing which Maharaj is mentioning here, that when we want material shelter, then lot of envy comes in the material world. Lot of competition comes in the material world. Why? Because everyone wants that material shelter in a material consciousness. But material shelter cannot satisfy you and is limited, is temporary, is misery producing. So you will find if you keep some ants, some sugar here, suddenly so many ants will come. Now human being, he keeps the sugar so that he can eat, and then he finds so many ants coming, and then he feels, अरे मैंने तो अपने लिए रखा था. And ants, they want to take it, they want to have it. So the moment one goes for material shelter, then envy, competition, insecurity, it comes. Why? Because everyone is looking for it. So that's why we see even demigods who are mixed devotees, they become very insecure. Why they become insecure? Because they feel, oh, if he is doing tapasya, then he may take over my post. Oh, he is doing so much, then he may come here and then he may replace me. As per the scriptures, it is mentioned that the time period for Indra is fixed. For that time period, he will only remain Indra, but still he becomes insecure. It is written on the document that for next 5 years, his government will rule. Still he becomes insecure that, somebody may come and he may topple me, like that. Because that is the nature of material shelter. When you have material shelter, instead of giving you happiness, it gives you insecurity. You have a fear of losing it. You have a fear that how to maintain it. So the demigods, they become envious because they are trying to have material shelter. And then Maharaj is saying that how to have this, he quotes that how Indra became so absorbed in the material shelter that when Brahaspati came, he neglected Brahaspati. And because he neglected Brahaspati, then that became offense. And because of that offense, then we see that how Bali Maharaj and the demons, they attack demigods and they defeat the demigods. So Maharaj is telling that one thing is material shelter cannot give us happiness. Second is when one becomes absorbed in the material shelter, then he becomes very neglectful for the spiritual shelter. Then he becomes very casual for spiritual shelter. Then he does not understand the importance for spiritual shelter. Somehow, in a conditioned stage, a living entity gets settled in certain way. In Lord Kapila section, Lord Kapila also says that no matter whatever situation a living entity is put in, he gets a sense of satisfaction in that situation. He is unhappy, he is suffering, but there is a sense of satisfaction also. So, like when first time a boy comes to a college, he is a little bit, thinking what will happen after first time I'm leaving my parents and coming here. And then he shows a lot of love for the parents that my dear father, I'll call you every day, and please don't leave me, stay for a few more days here. But then he comes in the college, within few days he gets accustomed to the college life. Now he in one way does not so much hanker for home also, because he gets accustomed here. Then when he gets placed and he wants to go for job life, then again he gets some feelings that what will happen, where I will stay, who will be my friends. And then he tells the friends in the college, he'll keep calling, he'll keep meeting. And when he goes to the college job life, then he gets accustomed there, he gets settled there. And most of the people working in corporate world, if you ask them how are you, how your job is going on, they will say we are very unhappy. But they cannot leave also that situation. Why? Because there is a sense of satisfaction. Whatever it is, end of the month, salary is coming. Whatever it is, something is happening, like that. But here what is mentioned is when someone becomes too absorbed in the material shelter, then he cannot value spiritual shelter. Then he cannot take seriously the spiritual shelter, and he becomes casual and neglectful about the spiritual shelter. So one starts neglecting to the extent one becomes more and more absorbed in the material shelter. He starts neglecting his chanting, he starts neglecting studying Srimad Bhagavatam, and slowly his taste for spiritual life goes. If you read this section which where Jad Bharata is instructing Rahuguna, so there is one chapter, the forest of material enjoyment, and before that there is a chapter discussion, further discussion between Jad Bharat and Rahuguna. So there Jad Bharat is saying how difficult it is for a living entity to escape this material world. So he says that he is so much trapped by the anarthas, by the modes, by his conditioned nature. Then he says that somehow or other, if he comes also to the spiritual life, so in the further verses, he says again he'll go back to material life. Why? Because these trappings are so strong. When I was reading those verses, it is very true. For a devotee to continue his spiritual life nicely till last breath is not very easy. And that is the reason why Prabhupada would say that don't be surprised people are living, but be surprised that people are staying, because it is very difficult. He says that even if someone comes to the fold of devotion service, again his mind will take him back to the material life, like this. So a person starts neglecting his chanting, starts neglecting study of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then what happens? His taste for spiritual life goes down. And we are tatastha sakti, we are marginal potency. So marginal potency means either living entity will be this side or this side. So the moment spiritual taste goes down, by default material taste increases. You cannot have both going together. The moment spiritual taste increases, material taste reduces. Then parents become very concerned. Beta kya ho gaya? But if our material taste increases, then spiritual taste reduces. And we see that how slowly even good devotees who are trained in voice, stayed in voice, but when the spiritual taste reduces, then they start getting those old vasanas, or they start getting some ambitions or material desires. I want to have this, I want to get this, and they forget this privilege which they have in the human form of life to practice spiritual life. They forget that how special opportunity they have in the human form of life to perfect their life. So material life goes like this, life after life, life after life, life after life. In every species, a living entity feels that there is something for me to enjoy. And if I do this, then I can enjoy in this way. I can do this, I can enjoy in this way. And then soon the time goes, and then finally he leaves. So in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada was telling very nicely, he was telling, हिंदी का एक लेक्चर है तो उसमें प्रभुपाद जी बता रहे थे कि मौत के चुंगल में है और फिर भी भोग करना चाहता है. Like there is a frog and there is an insect in front of the frog and there is a snake behind the frog. Frog is seeing the insect to enjoy and snake is seeing frog to devour him and eat him and kill him. Before the frog jumps for the insect, the snake catches the frog. So Prabhupada is telling our situation is like that. We are half already in the mouth of snake and snake represents death. Still we are making plans to enjoy in this material world. Another devotee was telling that death has come and death already has put his fingers around our neck. Only he has to just now press. But still we are having a desire to enjoy. Like this. So in that section, Jadabharati says that although this particular body which he has received can leave him accidentally at any time, but still he does not understand that what privilege this human body gives him. In all other species, we find that they don't incur karma. In all other species, they are not given developed senses by which they can understand spiritual subject matter. But in a human species, Krishna has given a developed intelligence, has given strong senses, so that in one life we can perfect, so that we can very nicely understand and go back to Godhead. But unfortunately, because of the same conditioning which we had in the animal species, when we get a human opportunity also, we tend to continue same activities which we were doing in the animal species. And we keep having those material absorptions to enjoy. And then we find once the taste reduces, uh, first time to become a devotee is very difficult. As Bhakti Sri Thakur says, it takes gallons of blood to make a person into a devotee. After a devotee becomes a non-devotee, then to again become a devotee is much more difficult. So initially to become a devotee is okay, is difficult, but still there is some innocence, there is some simplicity, and then he takes up his spiritual life. And then for him everything is new, chanting, and Krishna also gives initial taste in the chanting. So everyone feels very happy. Some divine experience they get. And first time they get up in the morning, so everyone feels very happy because mode of goodness they get to touch. And then dhoti kurta, tilak, everything is new, everything is very spiritual, so everyone feels very happy. But once someone is a devotee of the Lord, now he knows everything, for him nothing is new. And if he is neglectful about his spiritual life and then he loses taste and then he again becomes a non-devotee, now how will introduce him back to spiritual life? If you tell him chanting, chanting, come in devotee, and devotee, for him nothing is new now. And because of lack of taste, now he has a bitter experience of chanting, association of devotees, service. And we have seen once a devotee becomes a known devotee, then it's very difficult for them to come back. If Krishna arranges some very special situation in their life, where they get a cancer or they get a lot of realization that how material world is dukhalayam asaswatam, something like that, or they may again meet a devotee, and then by hearing strong words from that devotee like Vidura spoke to Dhritarashtra, then they may again come back. But in general it is very difficult. We have seen those devotees who somehow or other become neglectful and they leave spiritual life, then very difficult for them to come back. So that is why if one wants to continue in the spiritual life, then he has to understand that what he is doing is very special. All other things are also important in certain way. We have certain responsibilities, we have certain things which we have to take care, but the most important thing for a human being is practicing spiritual life. And it is a tendency of the mind that somehow or other it makes us feel that spiritual life is okay, anyways you can practice, later you can practice, anyways it is going on, even if you reduce your practices it will not make much difference, but for now this is more important, but for now this is more important. And then because of this we see that devotees they neglect their spiritual life. For material things you will find devotees extending also. For material things sometimes you will find them working hard also. And but for spiritual life you will find very casual. ठीक है, आज नहीं हुआ कल कर लेंगे, कल नहीं हुआ परसों कर लेंगे, परसों नहीं हुआ आगे कर लेंगे. So we don't see devotees sometimes making a very nice plan for their spiritual life also, nice plan for their spiritual journey also. Why? Because they have material taste, because they don't value and understand what privilege they have as a human being, and especially to get connected to a very special sampradaya parampara, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And then we find that how their material taste and material shelter increases more and more. So then Maharaj is telling that truth is this, that there is no shelter except the Lord. As per the scriptures, what is moha defined as? That when we are surrounded with material things and we think that they are my shelter and they will protect me, this is illusion. Right? But this is a tendency of the mind. When mind has some bank balance, so mind feels material shelter है, कहीं भी कुछ हो गया ना तुरंत लक्ष्मी जो है ट्रांसफर कर दूंगा. Same way, if you have some big contact, then mind feels a sense of material shelter. योगी जी से पहचान है, योगी जी को कॉल कर दूंगा, कभी भी कुछ हो गया योगी जी को फोन कर दूंगा. You will find all material connections, material things, they give a material sense of shelter to the mind. Same way, if you have a good wife, you have a house, then they give material sense of shelter to the mind. But because of this, what happens, we forget the temporariness of this shelter. We are not able to understand that this shelter actually cannot help me. Prahlad Maharaj says, even one's mother and father cannot protect a child. But because of this artificial sense of shelter, he does not feel the need of spiritual shelter. He does not feel that at time of death, none of these things will be around me, none of these things will help me. Only person who can help me is Krishna. So I have to take shelter of Krishna. So that feeling goes. So in the spiritual world, why everyone is happy? Because at every moment they are taking shelter of Krishna. So devotees, they should understand that we must take shelter of Krishna. And when we are young, that is the time where we can try to take this shelter of Krishna. Once the time goes, we become old, then it is very difficult. And we all know that how difficult in Kali Yuga it is to take shelter of Krishna. Our mind is always disturbed by material things. The environment is so disturbing that it does not allow us to focus on Krishna. Our own conditionings does not help us to take shelter of Krishna. So, and on top of this, if we are also very casual about taking shelter of Krishna, then where is the hope to take shelter of Krishna? Our mind is not supporting, our body is not supporting, our conditioned nature is not supporting, environment is not supporting, and then we are also very casual about taking shelter of Krishna. Then we'll not take shelter of Krishna. And then time will go. And when time goes, then we will cry, we will lament. Oftentimes, Maharaj is telling, new devotees are very enthusiastic and careful to take shelter. But as the time progresses, then Maya plays a trick. See, material energy is very special. She knows how to cheat every individual in a way that he does not come to know that he is getting cheated. So Prabhupada says, this is an expert cheater. Expert cheater means he will cheat you, but it will appear to you that he is my best friend. You will get a feeling that he is my best friend, and but he will cheat you very nicely. And he is an expert cheater. Same way is material energy also. She will give you certain thoughts in certain way, and you will feel, sahi hai, is perfect. That's how it should be. And then we find slowly, gradually, our shelter is becoming weak, 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 day by day, and month by month. And then we find in the process what happens, the time goes, the valuable time which we have in the human form of life, that goes, and then we are not able to take shelter. So this is a very important aspect which devotees they have to know, that how important it is to take shelter of Krishna. If we are very serious about spiritual life, if we understand the importance of spiritual life, then for us the prime importance will be taking shelter of Krishna. Other things are there and Krishna will help in other things also. We see those devotees who are sincerely trying to take shelter of Krishna, you will find their other aspects in life, they are also taken care of. We can see example of any devotee who is a very sincere practitioner, who is sincerely trying to take shelter of Krishna. So you will find he will get respect also, you will find he will get physical shelters also, you will find he will get happiness also, everything will be taken care. But somehow other in a conditioned stage, a living entity has a difficulty to put that faith on Krishna, has difficulty to have that understanding about Krishna. But Krishna actually wants to take care of living entity. Fortunately, we are a dependent living entities on Krishna. So our nature is being dependent to Krishna, and Krishna's nature is Swarat. He is independent, and Krishna's nature that he wants to take care of living entity. So our nature is shelter seeking, and Krishna's nature is shelter giving. So if a shelter seeker goes to a shelter giver, then by default a shelter giver will give shelter to shelter seeker. But where is the problem? The shelter seeker does not feel the need of going to a shelter giver. There is one Sri Sampradaya devotee, he saw a very beautiful scene. Once there was a hunter and he wanted to kill. That time a hunter saw a rat, and hunter wanted to kill a rat, but the soon rat came close to the hunter and started licking the feet of hunter. And when the rat came and started licking the feet of hunter who by nature is very cruel, took the rat and started showering love to the rat. So when the Sri Sampradaya devotee saw, tears came in his eyes, that if this hunter can have such a heart, his heart can melt when a rat is taking shelter, then what about Lord Janardana? If I take shelter of Lord, will he not be merciful to me? And then he renounces his life. Then he becomes a great devotee. So we see that how Krishna will surely take care. Many devotees who have taken that leap of faith, they may be in Grastashram or in Brahmacharya ashram. Those who have taken this leap of faith, they are happy in all ways because Krishna takes care. And we see that those devotees who don't take this faith on Krishna, slowly, gradually, they maintain themselves for some time, and finally, as the nature of material world is, they dwindle and they finish like that. Because the nature of material thing is like that only. For some time it grows, sometimes it reduces and then dwindles, and then finally it vanishes. But we find those devotees who kept spiritual life very serious. We find them making a lot of progress. We find them feeling fulfillment of the heart. We find them dying with a smile. We find them very happily living this world. Whereas those who became devotee, Prabhupada says they become most unfortunate if after becoming a devotee also again they uh, become non-devotees. इसका चार्जर लेके आना पड़ेगा. After becoming devotees, they are not able to utilize this opportunity of devotional service. So, as devotees, whatever planning we do, whatever decision making we do, first we should give priority to spiritual life. First, we should plan for spiritual life. Keeping spiritual life in the center, we should make all other plans. We should have all other decisions. So there is one uh, drama which Radhisham has written. So in this you will find there is one devotee who is first making and thinking, making plan and thinking about his spiritual life. And there is another devotee who is first thinking about his material life. And then we see what will happen to both of them. So there is one devotee, Ravi. So Ravi is asking to Sham, Sham, what's your future plan after engineering? And Sham is telling, oh, I'm thinking of taking a tuition job, which will fetch me good money as well as time for Krishna consciousness. So Shyam is thinking that what kind of a job I should take so that I have more time for Krishna consciousness. See, if you take a job where you have to work for 10 hours and then you are thinking that you will have time for spiritual life, is it possible? It is not possible. One hand we take a job where you have to slog 10 hours and then you have to travel also 1 or 2 hours. And then you are thinking, Prabhuji, I'll finish Bhagavatam also during that time. That is not possible. So if our planning only is like that, where we don't have any time for Krishna, first thing is we have to plan time for Krishna. If we don't plan time for Krishna, then we will not have any opportunity actually to be Krishna conscious. You may say, Prabhuji, I could not, I don't have so much taste, I don't have this, that. That all is secondary. First is, if someone is serious about spiritual life, he should have time for Krishna and give that time to Krishna. If you don't have time for Krishna, then even if you want, it is very difficult to be Krishna conscious. So Shyam, he is planning a job in which he will have some time for Krishna. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. So Ravi is telling, oh, that's all right, but who will look at you? I doubt whether any father will give daughter in marriage to a boy who just take tuitions and does not have a prestigious job in an IT company. So this is Ravi. So Ravi is thinking first about what? His material life. What about my job? What about my marriage? What about my name? And Sham is thinking that how I can have time for Krishna, like that. But Ravi is thinking that, oh, if I have a simple job, then how I'll have a suitable girl in the marriage, like this. But as devotees, we should know that all these things they are arranged. We don't have to worry. We have seen devotees who are having simple jobs and they are having good wives. We have seen devotees who are having very high paying jobs and they have very troublesome wives. But unfortunately, sometimes devotees also they get caught in these kind of situations, like that. You have seen sometimes poor people having beautiful, good looking wives. You have seen, and you have seen sometimes rich people having not so good looking wife. But Ravi is more focused about his material planning. Then Sham is telling, oh, but I see these IT fellows slogging all day, leaving early in the morning and returning late at night. I don't want to be one Ravi Prabhu. I wish to serve Hari, Guru, and Vaishnava sincerely all my life and go back to Godhead in this very life. Ravi, come on. All these outlandish utopian ideas are only good for a textbook, not for a practical life. Shyam, what is your plan, Ravi Prabhu? Ravi, I have already cleared GRE and TOEFL, got a MS seat in Pennsylvania State University. I'll be leaving in coming August to USA. Only scholarships are not yet assured, but I'll find some way to pay the fee and complete my MS in 2 years. Also, I'll be taking up a job after MS in USA and earn solid money after that. So this is his plan which Ravi is making. See, in general, in a conditioned nature, always a conditioned living entity thinks more about his material life, thinks more about to how I can secure material things in my life. And always he feels that somehow or other in this life I can enjoy more. So there was one GS devotee who had come to me. So he got a good paying job and he was from a good family. He was getting good proposal for marriages also. So he was discussing with me and I was asking him, what is your plan? He was telling, Prabhuji, I want to practice spiritual life. I want to dedicate my life. Only thing is, I am thinking, in this life only I got such a job. In this life only I am getting such opportunity to marry also. Somehow I am feeling, I don't know in the previous life whether I had same level of opportunities to enjoy. And I am feeling, I don't know why so many opportunities are there to enjoy. So what should I do? But in all lives, material energy will make you feel like this. In all lives, material energy will feel, see in this life how much you can enjoy. You can have this, you can have this, you can have this, even in animal species also. And always material energy will help you to postpone your Krishna consciousness, will help you to leave Krishna consciousness, because that is how material life functions. So that is how Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. ठीक है, all of you are able to hear? You can keep that mobile here, I can speak. Okay, ठीक है. So I was telling, materially, always living entity will think in this way only. That this time I have so many opportunities to enjoy. And if he does not have opportunities to enjoy, then mind will make him think, if I work little bit more, if I give more time in this way, then I'll have so many opportunities to enjoy. And like that, material energy will help him to put Krishna consciousness as secondary, will help him to postpone his Krishna consciousness. And for most of the people, spiritual life then becomes a routine. Routine means they will somehow chant, they will read little bit or hear little bit, but they will not try to take shelter of Krishna through these processes. So most of the people will find they will somehow chant, or they will go in a train and chant, they'll go to job and they'll be very absorbed while doing job. They will be very conscious while doing job. But when they come back, then they will not have so much absorption, or they will not try to take so much shelter of Krishna. If there is a class in the morning, they'll be just sitting and hearing. They'll not make notes. They'll not note down the points of application. They will not connect the sound vibration with their own practical life. Why? Because spiritual life has become a routine for them. And it will keep going on like this for some time. When what they are aspiring materially for, when that comes in their life, even the routine spiritual life also will go away. So as devotees, we have to be very careful. If we also get into this, then gradually and slowly we will also lose our spiritual life. So here Ravi is having these plans that I can have such a high paying job, and especially in material life where these things are so much advertised, when these things are so much told, then again mind gives a very strong thoughts about them, like that. So I remember my father would tell me, तुम्हारा शादी होगा ना, ग्वालियर से बैंड आएगा, वो आर्मी का, और वी आर 5 ब्रदर्स, सी वुड टेल, पांचों भाइयों के लिए मर्सिडीज कार रहेगा काला वाला, एक एक करके भाई निकलेंगे. तो इस तरीके से वो पंप करते थे जो मटेरियल डिजायर्स है उनको, इस प्रकार से. So what happens is, again those thoughts they come, again those desires they come, like that. And one girl parents they had come, so they were telling, बस तुम लड़का दे दो, to my parents, बस तुम लड़का दे दो, इसको घर जो है, प्रॉपर्टी है, धन है, लड़की के साथ फ्री में देंगे. So when you hear all this, then you feel, बाप रे, ऐसा अपॉर्चुनिटी एंजॉय करने का कभी मिला नहीं मिला किसने जाना है. But in this life surely I have, right? So then mind cheats, like that. Then Sham is telling, oh, then do you have a plan to return to India after that, back to this community of devotees? I was wondering what plans you have made for your Krishna conscious protection. Sometimes what happens, devotees they make a material plan and they cover it with a spiritual plan. In the sense, they will say, Prabhuji, actually I will go for MS for 2 years, and then I'll work for few years, 3 4 years, then I'll come back to India, I'll have sufficient money, and then I will settle near Kanpur only, Prabhuji, as you wanted. And then, Prabhuji, I will take a simple job, and then all time for Krishna. And even Krishna is laughing. And then you find once he goes, gets into MS, and then you call him. And then in a talk only you can understand now things are changing. Things are changing. Then you find, Prabhuji, actually here I got an offer and there is one foreign Mataji also, and she is proposing me green card also is available. And Prabhuji Radheshampur also is telling that in America, if some devotees can help in preaching, that will be better. Then his plans will change like that. So any devotee who does not keep time for Krishna in his plan actually is a material plan. Any devotee is coming with a plan, you see how much time he is keeping for Krishna. And if there is no time for Krishna in the plan, that is a material plan. Although it may be presented as quoted with a spiritual plan. But obviously, seniors they understand, but what can be done? They allow him to go with experience. And many times, many devotees they lose the opportunity. The one devotee was very good. He went for MS like this. And then what happened? Previously, he had told, I will come back to India after 2 years of job and I'll settle in India, practice spiritual life. But when naturally he went there, so then he started liking the place because naturally in the West, material facilities are much more than in India. So then what happened? He wanted to continue and stay there only. But after 2 years, he was supposed to apply for a visa extension, and something happened because of which his visa was not extended. And he was forced to come back from America to India. Now he became so disturbed that why Krishna did like this to me. And he left Krishna consciousness. So we see that how sometimes people become so absorbed in their material plan. In one way, Krishna helped him, but he's not able to see that help also. And then he gave up his Krishna consciousness. So Shyam is asking that do you have some plan like this to come back in the community of devotees? So first thing I told was that we have to see how a devotee is keeping time for Krishna. Second thing which we have to see is that how a devotee is making a plan to have association of devotees. Because in Kali Yuga, without association of devotees, best of the devotees don't remain devotees. Because in Kali Yuga, our situation is that we are very fallen. We are so much fallen that it is a surprise we are somehow somewhat practicing spiritual life. Because at any moment we can give up spiritual life like that. So if our situation is like that, then we need association of devotees. Like you will find if a person is very ill, if you go to a doctor and if a doctor sees the situation and he is very ill, so what doctor says? Admit karo. If you say no no just give medicine I'll take at home, no no admit karo, ये कब चला जाएगा पता नहीं इसका. तो वैसे ही हमारा सिचुएशन है, कब भक्ति छोड़ देगा पता नहीं, इनको एडमिट करो, इनको यूथ सेंटर्स में रखो, टेम्पल्स में रखो, बाहर कब चला जाएगा पता नहीं. मेडिसिन लेके जाएगा यहाँ से कि रोज प्रभु जी मैं 16 माला करूंगा, भागवतम सुबह पढ़ूंगा, लेकिन मिस करेगा मेडिसिन. और कुछ समय के बाद में पता चलेगा कि प्रभु जो है हमारे नहीं रहे. तो डॉक्टर बोलेंगे बोला था इनको एडमिट करो, इनका डेली चेक करना इंपॉर्टेंट है सारे पैरामीटर्स. तो व्हेन यू एडमिट इन द हॉस्पिटल व्हाट हैपेंस इज डॉक्टर्स ही चेक्स योर पैरामीटर्स एवरी डे. इनका बीपी कितना है, इनका शुगर कितना है, इनका फीवर कितना है. लाइक 2 days आई वाज एडमिटेड, सो एवरी डे दे वर चेकिंग, एंड समटाइम्स दे वर चेकिंग 2 times इन अ डे, मॉर्निंग ऑल्सो इवनिंग ऑल्सो. तो इतना स्क्रूटनी रखा जाता है आपके ऊपर. क्यों? कभी भी जा सकते हैं. In the Vedic time, people were advanced. So that is why they were allowed. You can go to Himalayas and practice alone. Now in Kali Yuga, if you send a person to Himalaya alone to practice, what will happen to him? We don't know. One thing is sure, he'll not practice. So we need association of devotees. That's why Prabhupada so strongly speaks about it. When we stay with devotees, what is the best thing which happens? Our spiritual life is monitored. See, if you stay with devotees, now suppose we all are here, and one of us is not in the morning program, everyone sees it, is it not? In our temple recently on Wednesday we went for Harinam, and there is one devotee, he did not go for Harinam because of some reason. So when other devotees they came back from Harinam and they were entering Prasadam hall, and that devotee also was coming directly in the Prasadam hall. So every devotee who was meeting him, he was saying, अरे हरिनाम में नहीं है. फिर दूसरा devotee, अरे हरिनाम में नहीं है. तो डिवोटी थोड़ा डिस्टर्ब हो गया था. तो जब प्लेट वॉश कर रहे थे तो मैं भी वहीं पर था. मैं बोला प्रभु कैसे हो? तो प्रभु जी क्या है, 10 डिवोटी ने पूछ लिया सुबह से, हरिनाम में नहीं आया, हरिनाम में नहीं आया, हरिनाम में नहीं आया। तो मैं बोला क्यों नहीं आए? तो ये ब्यूटी है एसोसिएशन में रहने का। अवर स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ इज मॉनिटर्ड like that, and then a person feels that okay, I should come, I should go. Dasha Prabhupada says one is dragged to success by being in association of devotees. So second is we have to see that what plan he is making for being in association of devotees. So those who are serious devotees, they will always make a plan like this, that I have time for Krishna and I have association of devotees. And if they are very serious devotees, then they will have planning that what service I will do for Krishna. So these three are very important aspects in a life of a sincere devotees, that how I have time for Krishna, how I am taking association of devotees, and how I have some service for Krishna. Otherwise, see, devotion service does not remain complete. If you have association of devotees, if you have time for Krishna, but if you don't have service for Krishna, then how will cultivate our service attitude? How will have realizations about Krishna? So all three are very important. And then Ravi is telling, when he's asking that, do you want to come back to India? So Ravi is telling, oh, that's a small detail. I'll work out after going to the West. That means he will never work out. Srila Prabhupada has preached all over the world. And there should be some devotees everywhere, Shyam. Anyway, we have bead back to chant. Srila Prabhupada's books are there. And if temple and devotees are not nearby, what can we do? We have to adjust. My goal of life is to become a big $1 billion businessman in West. Otherwise, what is the use of life by becoming a chota mota engineer in India? So that is Ravi. Once Gaurang Prabhu had a desire that I want to go to West for doing MS. So he wanted to present by quoting it in a spiritual way. So Gaurang Prabhu was telling, after becoming devotees, we know how to present also. So he goes to Maharaj and he says, Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada preached so much in the West, and I am also feeling to go to the West, and so that I can assist there in the preaching. And so I was thinking I'll apply for higher studies, MS. So Maharaj, I wanted your blessings. So Maharaj so clearly spelled out to Gaurang Prabhu. Maharaj said, if you want sense gratification, go to West. If you want to be a devotee, stay in India. तो गौरांग बोल रहे थे, महाराज ने पहली बार इतना क्लियर बोला कि मैं अभी क्या बोला। इतना क्लियर। जनरली महाराज भी थोड़ा कोटिंग करते हैं हर चीज को बोलने में, जिससे कि डिवोटीज को अच्छा लगे सुनने में, बट दिस टाइम महाराज वाज वेरी ब्लंट लाइक दैट. So Ravi is telling like that. Then Syam is telling, and once you become so big, will you also donate some money to our Guru for propagating Krishna consciousness? That will be a wonderful assistance to Prabhupada mission. And then Ravi is telling, oh, that's always there. First, we should grow in life, Prabhu. Then we can do something for God and others. Timid people haven't done anything great in their life. I want to be an adventurous one. Shake up the world. Srila Prabhupada said, aim at the rhino. Therefore, I have decided to aim big in my life by going to USA. Like that. Then Syam is telling, I think Prabhupada said in the context of expanding Krishna conscious movement, I haven't heard that we have to expand our material life at the cost of spiritual life. Anyway, if you have consulted your counselor about your plans and made your decisions, then there is nothing to worry, Ravi Prabhu. Ravi, once I go to USA, then I am planning to write an email to him about my future plans. Sometimes counselors, they put stumbling blocks in our material progress in the name of Krishna consciousness. I don't want to cross him. Instead, I will inform him over a period of time. But you should not tell anything to our counselor about my USA plans as of now. Okay? Shyam. Okay, Prabhu, I want. Whatever you wish. I will miss your wonderful association now after 2 weeks when our engineering course ends, Prabhu. And Ravi, I too, but I think we all will get some new friends wherever we go. We should accept these facts of life as things unfold. And we should not be too sentimental, Prabhu, about being together and not leaving our devotee community. So after 10 years, Ravi and Shyam, they meet one another in the local ISKCON temple. Shyam was married with a devotee girl arranged by his guru, And now he has one son and one daughter, both studying in Bhaktivedanta Model School. Shyam himself does tuition for 4 hours a day and serves in temple for 6 hours a day in the Sankirtan department on the order of the spiritual master. And Rabi, during MS, had to wash cars and work in night shift in a hotel as a waiter between 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. to earn his college fee and personal expenses. Seeing his India friends picking up American girlfriends, Ravi also chose friendship of Lucy, whom he married 2 years after MS and had a son and daughter. In the following years, Ravi's business was very demanding due to cutthroat competition in the market. Not finding enough time for family, children, Krishna consciousness, and business, nose diving leading to big losses, Ravi realized that return to India to join his father's business would save him from further fall down in USA. Besides that, his children were picking a bad company in the West. With all this in mind, Ravi returned to India. Sham in dhoti kurta. Haribol! Ravi Prabhu, I feel so joyful to see you. With a big genuine smile, he offers obeisances to Ravi Prabhu and gets up and embraces him. Ravi Prabhu in jeans and t-shirt with a morose appearance. You look like an angel from Vakunta Sham Prabhu. While I am covered over with a mustache and beard due to my lifestyle in the West, I am sorry for this bad appearance. Shyam, what is the problem with external appearance, Prabhu? You and I are both fortunate souls to be trained in our Krishna consciousness during our college days in voice. Both are equally blessed. Ravi, whatever it is, I have wasted my 10 years till now. My American wife refuses to come to India. I have left her in the West with my small daughter. I have brought my son here and want to put him in Bhaktivedanta Model School to save him from the bad company. I also have joined my father's textile business here. I faced a serious business loss in the West. I think I have acted independently without any guidance from my seniors, who are my genuine well wishers. Chasing after money and success, I became blinded to Krishna consciousness and genuine welfare. Sham, we are very happy that you will be with us, Rabi. Don't worry about the past. Now you are in the right place, temple. Srila Prabhupada said temples are Vakunta. Our counselor was deeply concerned about your welfare and he'll be very happy to see you. Please go and meet him. Ravi, I am only a bit apprehensive whether he'll be upset seeing my plight. Sham, no Prabhu, his heart is full of affection for you. He keeps inquiring about you every now and then, and our other friends who were in touch with you through email have been informing him about your situation in the West. Our counselor wrote a couple of mails to you and did not get any reply. He has always been concerned about you. He'll be ecstatic to meet you. Come, and I will take you to Prabhu. Ravi, I also came to know that you got married to a devotee girl and have two beautiful children, and your parents have purchased a house in a colony next to our NVCC temple. I also heard you work in the temple half the day and reporting to Guru Maharaj directly. My Lord, how blessed your life has become, Shyam, due to depending on Guru's guidance at every step in your life. It is all Guru Maharaj's blessings, Ravi Prabhu. I am nobody. I am simply foolish and had no great qualification in college also. But by blessings of Hari Guru and Vaishnavas, I am what I am today. It's your great heart that you see some good in me, Prabhu. Come, let's go and take darshan of deities and meet our counselor. Ravi, I hope to recover from losses and become polished in my Krishna conscious too. In the next few years, Shyam Prabhu, I need your support and inspiration. Shyam, I am your servant Prabhu. We both know each other over 15 years. I feel great joy after meeting you. Now you are back in India. Let's joyfully practice Krishna conscious together. Ravi Prabhu. Hari Bol. Ravi, Hari Bol. I feel like having come back to my home by coming to the temple. Yes, this is the real home of every jiva, the eternal, blissful, permanent home. Hari Bol. So, difference between material plans and spiritual plans. Being prepared to follow Krishna's plan is the platform of steadiness. When a devotee is on that platform, the mind's usual policy of accepting and rejecting situations based on the comfort of the body no longer affect his determination to serve. All material plans arise from physical or mental considerations. Although we devise a plan to make things better, the new plan just brings a different way for things to be bad. Therefore, the best course of action in life, especially while making serious decisions about career, marriage, place of settlement, future plans of business, foreign ventures, etc., to see what is favorable for Krishna consciousness and what is not, to prefer options that will lead to spiritual material balance, to consult our superiors and spiritual guardians, to not get carried away by the greed, passion, or unhealthy comparison, to see those who are spiritually above us and materially below us and take right inspiration. So, like that, when we also keep our spiritual life in the center and accordingly make plans, then we find we keep making progress in our spiritual life, we keep growing in our spiritual life. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult, especially in Kali Yuga, because we are also unfavorable for Krishna consciousness and environment also is unfavorable for Krishna consciousness.